Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including four-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a four-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
Three-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a three-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare two laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome live to Apex Racing TV for round 6 of the ARL GT Trophy Pro Season 2 here at Bathurst. After the spills and thrills of the first 5 rounds, we've only had 2 drivers taking the race wins. Will we have a new driver that can conquer the mountain? There's no other racing circuit in Australia quite like Mount Panorama. The hairpins, long hills, the exhilarating descents have made it one of the most admired and challenging tracks in the world. The perfect mix of speed, endurance and excitement, Mount Panorama ticks every box. However, despite the global fame, Mount Panorama isn't a permanent racetrack. The circuit is made up of public roads that access homes and farms and usually maintains a strict 60 km/h speed limit, but there certainly won't be any 60 km/h speed limits out on track tonight. I am Andy Thompson. I'm joined in the commentary box with Mr. David Whitehouse, and in the production box we have Luis Arara. Welcome, Dave, to Mount Panorama.
Yes, hello everybody. What a circuit we have in front of us. I'll admit, not my favourite. I don't know why I can't nail the top of the mountain. I'm going to have to learn to, because this weekend is the Bathurst 12 hours, so these drivers will be very happy to get a little bit of practice in ready for that. But yeah, it's going to be a great race, and what a championship battle we have between Kieran Havertz and Thibaut Prévost. The two are going hammer and tong for the title, and as you can see in the points, it's only a gap of 7 points after Kieran won in Spa after that collision with Prévost, and that's going to be, could that be the turning point of his championship, with Lucas Lang just hanging there in third and could just sneak in there if things go right for the top 2.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Bathurst, I absolutely love watching cars going around Bathurst, and I'm pretty much like yourself. I absolutely hate driving this track. I just cannot master that mountain section. Very technical, tight, twisting bends, and the curbs on it are non-forgiving as well. And certainly when you come down, as we're just watching on screen now, down the back end of the mountain section, you know, you really got to be on song with the car to get it down there to try and maximize the speed. And then you come down into the bottom half of Bathurst, which is as we're watching at the moment, the Conrod straight, really long straight, ideal slipstream and passing opportunity on this track. But I wonder if we see any brave drivers trying to do an overtaking move into the mountains section of the track. They certainly will be brave if they do try to do it. Obviously only got 14 cars here tonight out on track, but we do have all the top protagonists of the championship involved here, so it should still be an extremely entertaining hour race in these GT3 cars. And I think the only car that's not on show tonight is the Ferrari out of the usual suspect. We've got an Audi, a couple of BMWs, a healthy splattering of Lamborghinis, and a couple of Porsches. And obviously heading out the Porsche challenge is Lucas Lang. Been driving it exceptionally well this season, as we saw there, third in the championship. A little bit off the pace of the front two, but could secure that third place, and that'll be a great result for the German there, driving the German car of the Porsche, so doing it very well. But Kieran Havas is certainly the man driving that Lamborghini like he stole it at the top and riding high. And like you were saying, Dave, is that the only reason he's not a couple of points behind Theobald Prevot at the top of the championship is he did get a 5-point penalty for the hit on Prevot coming down the end of the Kemmel Straight into Spa. But certainly been on fire has Kevin, and it'll be an interesting race between them two.
Yeah, it's always disappointing when things come to a head like that, but it wasn't malicious by either driver. But I think you have to look at it as the Mercedes Rosberg Hamilton one. I think it was 2015, 16, one of them two. It was very similar to that, and this time it just spun Prevot around. Sometimes you can get away with it in the GT cars and just rub door handles, but not this time. So Prevot currently fastest, Havert second, when we said that before. And in third place, Roger Christensen, who we have to remember has a 0 to his name already, as well as a 0 drop score. So he is having to really fight in this championship, and he's already up to 9th in the points, which shows how quick he's been going. And that was with a couple of, shall we say, let-bys for his teammates.
Yeah, definitely. Roger, you may recognise him normally as a Porsche driver, an exceptional Porsche driver in the Porsche Cup, but trying his hand here at the GT3, and pretty showing he's very well versatile in any car he gets into a championship is Roger, and doing an exceptional job. Always seems to be the top RPC esports driver since he's joined the grid, and like you said, a couple of times letting some of his teammates past who are fighting out for the championships above him. But do have a good showing tonight from the RPC esports team. Odin Miravang there, Odin Rash, Olsen, and Marcus. No, Marcus Bloom is not. It's Thomas Wangen is the RPC Esport team, with obviously Rogers Christensen, the RPC Esports junior team. So they're having a good showing out here tonight, and will obviously extend their lead in the team championship. But it's currently 7 minutes into this qualifying session, and Theobald Prevot sits out on pole position with a 2:01.999. Kieran Havas only 1/10 of a second behind him in second place, and a slight little gap, probably around about 4/10 of a second to Roger in third, and then very close, and then a bit of a jump down to fifth of Rash Olsgun, 0.7 of a second. You know, it's one of these tracks, Bathurst, that if you get it right, it goes really well, but there's so many opportunities on this track to possibly lose time in a lap that to be this close is quite good out on track.
Yeah, exactly. Up over the mountain, like you said before, you just have to have the rhythm. This bottom section, not too technical or anything like that. It's quite a simple bottom section, apart from a large braking zone in the chase, which is a really difficult section to just get right in terms of your braking area after being off the brakes for a very long time, as we now ride on board with Lucas Lang down this section with the dipper, and it's just so tight. One wheel out of place and you will be into a concrete wall. And luckily, iRacing haven't simulated the kangaroos or wallabies that might make it onto track, so we don't have to worry about them tonight. But it is still a huge challenge for the drivers to get around this Bathurst circuit. And as I say, this weekend is the 12 hours on iRacing, so it's going to be a lot of these drivers will be doing that in one way or another, and they'll be looking at this as a bit of practice as well as a normal championship.
Yeah, they certainly will be, but it's very much split into this track, and it'd be very interesting to see what sort of setup the guys have gone with, whether they've gone for the lower downforce to try and help them down through the Conrod straight, coming down into Murray Corner and the start-finish straight, then going back up to start a new lap up the mountain straight, or they've gone for a little bit more downforce to help them through the mountain section, as we currently watch the Abad Prevo just coming over the top of the mountain, which is very technical. You can just see the undulating track, and certainly when you hit this, the underneath the coast, as we see. Okay, that's a very big crash.
This is a thing you'll have to watch out for in the race. I think it wasn't Roger Christensen, it was one of the other RPC cars had spun and was on the racing line, completely blind Prevo, who had already almost hit the wall on the top of a chase. And it's one of them. Once you've seen the car, it's too late. Yeah, you just got to, if you see a yellow flag around Bathurst, you really have to completely back off and just hope it's not sitting on the racing line.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you say, there's so many blind corners on this track. You go through the cut-ins, and they're like switchback corners, and if a car spins out, certainly on this track, then it will cause a pile up in that first corner, because like you saw there, you just can't. You come around the corner, there's a car in front of you, and there's not a lot you can actually do about it. So these drivers are the pro drivers, so you've got to be above 2.4k iRacing to join this series. But we still see the incidents, and got to be really careful, certainly on that first lap with the tyres not being wore. I mean, that's a fantastic corner. It's all or nothing, that corner. That wall will come off, and you'll see a lot of cars doing door rubbing along the wall. But you take it a little bit too hard, and you'll certainly be seeing the wall a lot heavy and spin the car around. So it's going to be interesting, and obviously the qualifying in this round is all important to try and get out front, so you don't get caught up in any shenanigans that happen behind you. But that is the end of qualifying, and we're just about to grid up for a 60-minute race around Bathurst here today.
Yeah, and here we are, the grid for the Bathurst race of the GT Trophy Pro. It is Thibaut Prevost for Valkyrie Competition on the pole position, the only driver to dip under 2 minutes and 2 seconds, but only just with 0.999. Kerem Havertz sitting on the front row, only a tenth behind, and those two are the main targets in the championship. Third is Roger Christensen, who, as we said, joined late and has been probably the quickest outright pace of the RPC Esports guys lately. Odin Miravang back onto form with fourth on the grid, ahead of Orvid Rask Olsen, and Lucas Lang rounding out the top six. Thomas Culliver will be hoping to get past the opening stages of the race in seventh. After the last 2 or 3 races, he struggled to do so. 8th is Marek Paulich. 9, Marcus Bloom. 10th, Thomas Wangen rounding out the RPC cars. Anders Learjord in 11th for Team Vikings. Jeremy Bonsuedo in 12th. And just rounding out the grid, we have Brian Kroon for Indy Autosport 13th and Fernando Torres for Dock Speed Motorsport.
the ever dependable Fernando Torres, always props up the back end of the field. So always great to see him out on the field here as the cars are just lining up behind the awesome Mustang car there, the iRacing Mustang car. It will be a rolling start, so obviously will be controlled by Theobald Pravot, who takes the pole position here at Bathurst. 60-minute race. Drivers do have a fast repair at their disposal, and obviously will have to do a pit stop as well, so that's going to certainly come into play during the mid half of this race. So it's going to be a really interesting one, this, and hopefully the drivers all get around the first lap, but Kieran there just pulling alongside Theobald to just show his intent to try and not let the Luxembourg get away at the start of this field. So they just go around the last corner, Murray's corner here, and Theobald, I think, has already gone there to try and get a jump and got a decent start there over Kieran Hadgers, and Roger Christensen is putting a lot of pressure at the moment over Kieran, going on to the inside, pushing Kieran out on the first corner, but Kieran managing to carry that speed, but has lost a little bit of ground there on Pravot in first place. So Havas just managing to keep the car in second, but does have Roger Christensen right on his tail. Not really any movement in the field. Thomas Culliver has managed to leapfrog Lucas Lang to 6th place, and Thomas Wang has managed to leapfrog Marcus Bloom as they come around into Griffin's Bend to start the ascent into the mountain section as they go over the top, coming through the cut-ins at the moment. Real tight left-hander followed by a right-hander. Not really an opportunity to pass up here, I'll say that, and they probably will prove me wrong during this race as they come around the top half of the track. Really fast part of the corner, and you'll see the cars going right out around, certainly around this corner, and I expect a lot of cars to be sort of hitting that wall on the right-hand side. These curbs that you can see as well at the top here, very unforgiving as they start to make their descent down the hill. Really fast section. You really got to be committed to get the optimum line. And we'll probably see some pictures from Lewis of the cars actually getting slightly airborne as they come down the mountain section for the first time, coming out of Forest Elbow and making their first run down the Conron Straight.
Yeah, the perfect start yet again by Prevost. He's always just times it nicely on the apex of the final corner and stretch that lead out nicely. But look at the gap he's pulled out, 1.3 seconds on Kieran Havertz, who has been on great form this year, but that start wasn't quite what he was wanting. Managed to just hold off Roger Christensen, who is seeming to hold up over Miravang a little bit on this opening lap. So whether just letting him get into his stages of his drive, and he likes to take an easy first lap maybe, but Miravang all over the back of his teammate, Rask Olsen holding off Culliver and pretty much the rest of the field.
Yeah, definitely. I'll tell you what is interesting is the RPC Esports. Normally, if you're in a team, you all drive the same cars, so you can all highly tune the setups and bits and pieces like that. But these RPC Esports guys decided to choose different cars. We've got 2 BMWs in their team, an Audi, so completely different cars, and obviously a Lamborghini. So just spreading their bets, I suppose, with the different types of cars they have in here on iRacing. But we watch them coming up through the cut-ins here for the second time round. All still in a nice line. Tyres are getting nice and warmed up now, so we should start seeing increased lap times through these drivers. But like you said, Provo getting a really good start at the front of the field, 1.4 seconds lead over Havas in second, and then he has a slight gap as we see Raskolson just clipping that wall on the outside, pushing it to the absolute limit in that one and only Audi car out of field as we go on board, coming down the mountain section here. You just see how tight, and literally that corner there, the dipper, it is just crazy. The car just seems to fall away from you. It goes super light on the steering, so its positioning coming out of that corner is all important to make sure you don't see some wall on the outside. But all the drivers keeping it nice and clean at the moment, and all staying in the straight lines, but I'm pretty sure that we'll start seeing some battles coming down the Conrad Straight, so I would expect the slipstream to really start coming to effect and seeing some passing moves, certainly coming down into this corner, down into the chase and trying to cut on the inside.
Yeah, sorry if people heard me in the background there. I just saw the wobble that Rasmussen got, and I thought this is going to be a big one. He managed to just about hold it over the top of the mountain, which was great skill by him, as he was well offline and sliding towards the wall. It's the fastest lap of the race for Kim. Havertz just about takes it from Prevost, so the gap closed a tiny bit, but obviously we have so long to go in this race. An hour-long race around Bathurst is probably a 3 hour long, feels like a 3 hour long race around anywhere else. You have to concentrate so hard. A bit like Detroit Belle Isle we had a few weeks ago. It's constant concentration, but you do get that little bit of rest down towards the chase, as we see Thomas Culliver attacking Rasmussen now, and Lucas Lang is going to try and take advantage of that and goes up the inside of Culliver. They're side by side towards the cutting, and Lang gets his position back, so he's back to where he started in the race. And we're looking at the timing screen, and I can actually now see 2 changes for position in the whole field, which just shows you how hard it can be to overtake around Bathurst.
Yeah, it certainly was. As we saw there, Thomas Culliver trying to make a move there on Rasmussen, getting it slightly wrong into Griffin's Bend, going a little bit wide, open up the door for Lucas Lang, and he took it with glee there to get up into 6th place. So Lucas managing to get a position up the top Porsche driver at the moment. But yeah, it's all extremely interesting how they how you see the different lines on this track and how people just try and take them. And as we watch on board with Thomas Culliver coming down the Conroe straight to see if he can make a passing move and try and get that position back from Lucas Lang just in front of him. Not really seeing the effect I was expecting to with this slipstream here, as he may try and go up the inside. No, keeping it nice and clean at the moment, getting right up onto the back of Lang's Porsche there.
Yeah, I think Lang seems to have either the Porsche is struggling in a straight line, or which is known to, but Lang seems to have not had that issue during this championship. But he just seems to be struggling in a straight line here. The Lamborghini's all over the back of him down the straight. It was Powlich before, now it's Culliver, and you're just wondering whether this is not quite the circuit for the Porsche and Lucas Lang, because if he's put downforce on it for the higher bit of the circuit, then obviously he will struggle down the straight. He doesn't seem to struggle too much down this straight, though. It seems to be the main long drag from the mountain down to the start line that seems to be the issue.
Yeah, definitely. And the other added bit of thing to look at is, as you can see, all the cars have their headlights on at the moment. So it's about 7:30 at night here at Bathurst. So we might actually start getting into the nighttime, as we see a move there by Lily Jordet trying to get up onto the inside of Gonzalo in front of him. But probably not the optimal place to try and make a passive move, but tried his luck, didn't quite come off that, but certainly Gonzalo in 11th there in front in the Lamborghini will certainly know he's there, and we're feeling a lot of pressure from the Porsche driver behind him. But yeah, so as you can see, in the distance there, the sun is certainly setting here in Bathurst, so we might actually by the end of this race be into a dark race, which will be an added bit of pressure for the drivers to contend with.
Yeah, that Bathurst is hard enough in the light, never mind in the dark. So and we're not looking at a floodlit circuit either, so it is hope your headlights are staying on. You don't want to damage them and then not be able to see where you're going through the circuit. But here is Anders Jordet. He's lining up a move on Jeremy Gonzalo. That Porsche is not struggling for straight line speed. With the slipstream, he goes to the inside. Will he give the room? Just about, and he is through into the chase, and that is a lovely move, because that takes 2 people through that corner. The person being passed has to be willing to give that little bit more room, because it's so easy to turn across the nose of the other person there. But at the front, Prevost and Havertz are matching each other tit for tat on lap times. The gap has stayed around that 1.3 seconds from the opening lap, and I think both drivers weirdly will feel satisfied with this at this stage, as we now look at Lucas Lang, who's right up behind Rasmussen, heading up towards the mountain, and Rasmussen goes to defend to the inside, Lang to the outside. He's not going to try and drive around the outside, but just trying to pressure a mistake out of Rasmussen, and it's Lucas Lang who makes a mistake, and it is Culliver who gets back through. So it is the back position has changed 3 times in this race so far between those two. And I don't get why people try and push it around the outside of that corner. It is just, you just skate towards a concrete wall on the outside, and it doesn't, I'm not really seeing it be pulled off if you're directly side by side with somebody.
No, definitely. That was a carbon copy there of Lang overtaking Culliver a couple of laps previous as well. So obviously Lang just repaying the favour to Culliver there and giving him the opportunity, who takes it to him with both hands to get the position back over Lucas Lang. So yeah, it is true. But when you're heated battle coming down that mountain straight and you get the slipstream effect and you start getting right onto the back of the car in front, you will be almost like forced offline to try and make that opportunity to get that pass done through the Griffin's Bend. But we have seen it not be done twice there, and obviously the car behind has managed to capitalise and take the position back. But as you saw earlier with the pass one that we got as we watch another one here, is that Michael Palic and Thomas Wangen getting the pass done, but Michael Palic is saying no, I'm not going to have that. Come side by side now, coming down into Murray Corner. The Lamborghini will have the advantage being on the inside line, and the BMW just yields. So Michael Palic managing to get that position back. But we did saw the classic overtaking move here at Bathurst the lap before, and obviously just there by Thomas Wangen of coming down Conrad Straight and getting that slipstream and making a pass down into the chase. Great show between these two at the moment. Michael Palic just saying to Thomas Wangen, if you want that 8th place, you're going to have to really work hard. As you see the BMW just coming up behind, and that's what I was saying with the lap before, is that because you close in speed on the end of that mountain straight coming into Griffin's Bend is so quick. That's why a couple of drivers I think have got offline coming into it. Yeah,
true. And it was just how late Thomas Wangen tried to make that move. It didn't look like he was going for it, and then it was so late into the braking area that he pulled out. He kept Pawlic by surprise, but Matt Pawlic is experienced enough in these cars in this championship to know he can live to fight another day, and it was respectful racing between the two of them throughout those few bends, but they have lost quite a bit of time to Lucas Lang in front and now need to try and close that gap down. But it is Prevost and Havertz 1.5 seconds apart, 5 seconds clear of the rest of the field. In other rounds this year, we've seen Roger Christensen, Miravang, Rasmussen, Culliver, Lang getting involved in the fight, but today those two drivers seem to be in a class of 2.
Yeah, it certainly does, and the usual suspects at the front of the field. Just looking at the YouTube chat of the guys on there, we've got Kevin Kitterman saying hello everybody, so hello to you, Kevin. We've got Benji Lewis who's asking about the GT3 AM series, so I'm sure that will be announced soon to get yourself on the field for probably the GT3 AM series of this being the Pro will be followed by the AM. So we go to a replay here of Anders Lily Jordan coming down into the chase. Does he overcut it the corner and get out on the wide? Yes, he does. Spins the car wide and just gets involved there with I'm not sure who that was behind him. That was Bonsuado, wasn't it? Yeah, so obviously getting involved with Bonsuado there, and unfortunately one of the casualties of going too hot there into the chase as we come back to this battle for P6. Lucas Lang and Thomas Culliver in 6th place, so it's good to see Thomas is still in this race. Had a bit of unfortunate luck in the past couple of rounds. I think it all started from Daytona, where he actually didn't join the field after doing an exceptional qualifying, and he hasn't really had a decent round since then, so maybe tonight might be a lot better luck, and at the moment doing exceptionally well, touch wood, up there in 6th place. But this track can bite at any time, so like I say, you got to keep your wits about you and make sure you take the lines that you should be taking, certainly down this back side of the mountain.
Yeah, something we haven't quite mentioned today is the Teams Championship. RPC Esports have their 3 drivers in here today, whereas Sim Racing 1 only have the one driver in Marit Paulich. So Paulich flying the flag for Sim Racing, but could lose a lot of points in that team's championship here today. But this is a great battle here between Rask Olsen and Culliver. Culliver really trying to make up some ground after those poor rounds he's had, and he's all over the Audi of Rask Olsen, who has shown some strong speed since he's got into that Audi. He really seems to enjoy driving that, so that's why he changed early in the season. He said in one of the post-race interviews. But we're on board with Thomas Culliver for Undercuts Racing Team. His teammate Jeremy Bonsuardo in 11th, so the team running 2 cars here today, and Culliver trying to line up this TT around this Bathurst circuit. It's right in the slipstream as he heads towards the mountain. Quite close, but slipstream will be starting to build, but I don't think he's going to be close enough. Does he try a dummy? Not really, and Rask Olsen just defends nicely. But Lucas Lang just slowly is he being dropped slightly off this pack, which is surprising for us with Lucas, but maybe he's just biding his time for pit stops. But we also have Jeremy Bonsard in the pits after Anders Lear-Jordet did after that contact.
Yeah, definitely. But I think obviously Lucas, like you were saying, with that Porsche, not known for its straight line speed, whereas obviously the Audi and the Lamborghini have got great straight line speed. Pretty much the same engine in both of them cars as well, the Audi and the Lamborghini. I think it's a V10 engine in them 2 cars, and it's quite surprising because obviously, you know, you saw Rask Olsen go from the BMW, a known fast car in a GT3 class, to what is not really a car that's picked anymore, which is the Audi. And ever since he's actually got in the Audi, he's done so much better. So obviously a car he's really used to, and obviously deciding to make that change early on into the Audi from the BMW. So certainly driving it really well, and being our only Audi driver out on track, it's always good to get a mix of cars here. But we're seeing Thomas Culliver trying to line him up. Rask Olsen coming down into the chase, not quite getting it done, but certainly getting tucked under the rear wing of Rask Olsen's Audi in front.
Yeah, it seems like Brian Kroon is out of the race. He's 4 laps down and has been in the pits for a very long time, so I think he will be out of this one. So we'll be down to 13 drivers. Fernando Torres, Lear-Jordet and Bonsuardo are the only drivers who are out of the top 10 at this moment in time, with Marcus Bloom in 10th place, Thomas Wangen in 9th, then we move up to Marit Paulich in 8th. Then this battle for 5th place between Rask Olsen, Culliver and Lang. This is the biggest battle on the field at the moment, as they all spread out at the bottom of the straight and head up the hill. Who has the grunt to get the car up the hill quickest? The traction out of the corner, and they head towards the cut-in. But I have just noticed Odin Miravang isn't that far ahead of these 3, so if they did decide to start working together, which I doubt they will considering the lead car is Rask Olsen, teammate of Miravang, and they might be able to... Oh, sorry, I thought Rask Olsen was going in the wall there. Very close as always. And yeah, I can't see them working together because teammates are up the road, but if they did, they might be able to draw this battle into a 4th place battle. We're on board with Culliver as he comes down the hill towards the Conrod Straight. He won't get a shot into this bit. He'll just wait, bide his time, gets the power down, runs it, very close to a wall again. It always gets me how close they run to a wall around this Bathurst circuit, because it isn't a tyre barrier, it isn't something soft, it's a concrete wall. You have no choice. If you hit it and your wheel's going to break, you've got no choice on it, and you're not going to cruise back to the pits from the top of the mountain.
No, certainly, but it certainly looks like that Audi is much Culliver trying to get around the outside, not quite getting it done. Probably the bad line, and giving Lang the opportunity again to make the pass coming down here into Murray's corner. So Lang managing to take that P6 off Thomas Culliver there in 7th place. So optimistic move coming down into chase that's really cost him and given Raskolskin a little bit of breathing space at the moment out in fifth place over Lang and Kova just off the back. So a little bit of air now between the two, and you can see just behind as well, Michael Palic is making a charge with Thomas Wangen to try and make this a 5-horse race for that lap for fifth place on this grid. So certainly going to be interesting in the last half of this race to see what that. But we've still got the round of pit stops to go in this championship. Only 19 minutes gone in a 60-minute race. Should be coming in around about 30-35 minutes for the pit stop around this track. So it's going to be interesting to see who makes that first move and who but as you see there, just Lucas Lang using the whole, I don't think there was a millimetre to spare there on the track to try and get the maximum speed, and that's how you get the fast times around here in Bathurst. But you're sort of playing in the lap of the gods. Just get it slightly wrong. Oh, here we go as a replay.
Yeah, Raskolson, I thought he'd ran wide through here just in front of Lang, and this next corner it looked like he ran wide and then he disappeared. Yeah, he's clipped the wall on the left hand side and straight into a wall, but he knew why he disappeared so quickly is he knew what was going to happen and didn't want the car to bounce out onto the track in front of everybody else. That was good thinking by Raskolson, just to go, I'm going to be towing to the pit. Let's just get out of the way quickly so we don't ruin anybody else's race.
Yeah, bit of bad news there for Raskolskin, who was happily going along in fifth place. But that was all caused from, I think, a little bit further back, because he clipped one of the sausage curbs on the on one of the corners, which put his car off track, and then he was fighting the car at the very top of the mountain and unfortunately slid out wide, hit the curb on the outside coming up the top, and then went into the kitty litter on the very top of the mountain. I think we actually saw that in the live official Bathurst 1000. I think I remember seeing a Porsche doing exactly the same move there, but yeah, as you said, Raskolskin doing a brilliant thing there and just towing back to the pits, because he knew with the speed he was going into that wall, it was going to put him back across the track. So great work there for Raskolskin to make sure they didn't hit these guys on track with Lucas Lang. We're looking at the moment, we're currently on board with Thomas Kova there as they come through the cut-ins again. But yeah, it seems like we lost Brian Kroon on lap number 3. I see in the timing tower he did actually go off track, so got a bit of a damage, went back to the car and decided no, that was about it, I think.
Yeah, we've got a replay here which might be of what happened. Yeah, just very easily tapping the wall by losing back end, and that will have broken the rear suspension. And as you can see, he does exactly what Raskolson does, running wide there, and then it looks like he tries to get back to the pits, which wasn't too bad for him because he was near the back anyway, so he wouldn't have a car coming round and can just follow, I think that's Fernando Torres, down the hill. And yeah, it's so easy to do. It's very simple to do, especially most of especially the rear engine Porsche. You know, it's just the weight will swing the back end round. As we now look at Thomas Culliver slipstreaming round the outside of Lucas Lang. Is he going to take that position back again? Yes, he is. These two have been glued together all race and swapping back and forward. They'll be dealing Uno cards to each other in a minute.
But I mean, it's great respect and great racing between these two fighting out. I mean, a lot of respect from each of the drivers. You know, the one who in front could see the car coming in from behind. You know, knowing that the car behind has got the run on him, giving the position back just to live to fight another day. And these two have been swapping position. I think that's probably about the 4th or 5th time during this race that these two guys have swapped positions. But as you can see, the headlights are starting to become a little bit brighter now, and the shine on the track is getting a little bit more. So you can see that light starting to fade here at Bathurst. Only 23 minutes in, so almost certainly by the end of this race, this will be in complete darkness. And like you said, Dave, is there's no lights around here in Bathurst, so the only lights they're going to have is the headlights. And maybe being in that Lamborghini Lamborghini with them endurance lights on the front. You can see just a wall of light. Might be coming at advantage to these drivers, but as we see a little bit of wall contact there from Thomas Culver. Hopefully, well, he kept it nice and clean and literally rolled the wall on the outside. But you can see, you can see there, as Thomas Lang really taking that curb at the top, and you just literally see his car tilt to probably around about a 30-degree angle as you ride up there. They are absolutely savage, them corners, and doing a great job to not try and spin it, but come down here, put your car in the right position, come over the end here, and you really need to maximize your speed coming out of the Forest Elbow to come down onto the Conrod Straight to give you that extra couple of miles an hour to try and get that slipstream. As we currently watching Marko Palic maybe going to have a look at Lucas Lang come down here. Got a really good run on him. It should obviously come to the inside as he does into the chase, but Lucas trying to cover off as much as he can. But what it does do is it brings these three cars back together. Lucas just trying to look onto the outside of Thomas in front in the Lamborghini, but thinks better of it and just tucks in behind. So now we've got a 4-car race now for this P5 position. We got Thomas Culver in 5th, Lucas Lang in 6th, Michael Palic in 7th, and Thomas Wangen in 8th. So this should be an epic battle for the rest of this race.
Yeah, we're on board with Thomas Wangen, and that is Palic looking up the inside of Lang, 4th, 6th place. And I don't know if we can... Oh, Marcus Bloom is in the pits, so he's going for an early stop by the looks of things. But I don't know if we could go on board with Thomas Culver after this action up the hill. We'll watch this first. And it's Thomas Wangen trying to look around the outside of both of them. Lang looking up the inside. You can't go 3 wide at Bathurst. And Wangen finding out he just gets forced wide. But Lang down to 8th. But yeah, I'm not sure if Culver has bent steering from that nudge. It seemed like it as he come down the hill. Struggled to get his rhythm back. But sadly, over the top of the hill, there isn't a straight to find out. But it does look slightly right-hand down when he's straightening the wheel. So maybe just a little bit of steering damage for him to get used to until his pit stop when he uses his fast repair.
Yeah, I mean, he's into that window, so if he has got some damage on it, he won't lose any time if he comes in, does his stop and gets that repair done. But what he doesn't want to do is obviously try too much to drive around with any sort of significant damage, because he'll be a sitting duck for the cars just lining up behind us. You can see in his rear view mirror there the effervescence picture of the Lamborghini of Marko Palic just blaring lights. You can see the lights of the Lamborghini, it's just lights. The whole front of it is lights. You certainly wouldn't not recognise a Lamborghini with the endurance light setup on in front of you.
Yeah, those 3 wide have actually spread this group back out, so there's now sort of half a second to a second between each of them, and the only 2 actually close enough to battle is Marko Palic and Thomas Wangen in the middle of the ball. So let's see whether anybody, maybe Lucas Lang goes for an early pit stop. No, not this time, but I think some of these guys will be thinking that if they think they've got outright pace in clear air, because I've just looked and Marcus Bloom has come out about 14 seconds behind Fernando Torres. So the whole group from 1st to 8th will be looking at that slot. There's 40 seconds between Anders Lear-Jordet, who we saw take an early pit stop for damage, and Lucas Lang in 8th. So they want to slot into that gap with enough clear air to push on. Got front, Thibaut Prevost and Havertz still gapped by 2.2 seconds, but 10 seconds clear of Roger Christensen, who's only 4 seconds up the road from this group. So while these guys have been battling side by side and everything, and getting in each other's way, Christensen and Miravang have not scampered away that much.
No, they haven't. It's because it's been some really close racing, and the passing that's happened has been in the slipstream effect. So it obviously aids both the drivers in that they're not holding each up and battling it out in the slow portions of the track. They're really getting the moves and the passing moves done on the fast part of the track, which is not going to slow them down at all. But if there is any damage on Thomas Culver's car, he's not really showing it, just sort of trying to scamper away at himself a little bit over Michael Palic in front of him. It's around about 0.6 of a second at the moment is Culver's lead over Palic. It will obviously go down when they come down the Comrade straight due to the fact of the slipstream, but is doing an exceptional job at the moment to try and scamper away. But Pawlic has got a little bit of a gap now over Thomas Wangan. So like you were saying, where they were going 3 wide coming into the Griffin's Bend has really mixed up this group. As we can see there now, Thomas Wangan and Lucas Lang are still quite close together, but there's certainly a gap between Thomas Wangan and Pawlic and Kova, and then you've got a gap between Kova and Miravang that's sort of staying around the 4-second mark at the moment. But the front two certainly are going out as watch. Thomas Wangan just trying to get the cutback on Lucas Lang, doing an exceptional job. Will be side by side coming over the start-finish line, but have that important inside line for Held Corner, and should get the move done here coming down the mountain straight. But they're going to be side by side. A little bit of rubbing there coming on the outside, and Lucas just telling Thomas that he probably didn't really appreciate that, but will certainly be tucked up behind the BMW driver, the Porsche driver. I don't know what, if you know, a little bit of an interesting fact. Do you know why it's called Hell's Corner?
You haven't a clue.
No. So back in the old day when they used to do motorcycle racing around here at Bathurst, there used to be a tree stump on the inside corner to Hell's Corner. So that what they said that if you hit that tree stump in your bike or on your bike, you would obviously go straight ahead, and if you did, you would just go straight to hell. So that's why it's called Hell's Corner. So there you go, a little interesting fact that I learned through trawling through a lot of track history on the Bathurst.
Roger Christensen, I was just about to say I wouldn't go round the track on a pedal bike, never mind a motorbike. But Roger Christensen has dropped from 3rd to 8th. I don't know where on the circuit. That must have been up at the top.
Had a crash, yeah?
I think it's where Rask Olsen went off. I'm thinking. Yeah, here he goes. He's going into that very same corner. Clips the wall on the inside like Rask Olsen, but doesn't hit the wall. Does very well there. I think he reverses into a wall, but doesn't do a huge amount of damage. That was very well kept out the wall. Waits for everybody to go through, which is complete fair play by Christensen. Loops it round and gets back going again. But how he is still in this race, I will never know.
Yeah, I think that's more luck than skill, really. I mean, you saw him as he comes up the top of that corner. He literally clipped the inside. If you look where he comes around this corner, he takes it really tight and he clips the wall, and that puts him off straight. And he's just so lucky that he didn't hit the wall. He went in it in a pretty flat trajectory, which obviously saved him from hitting the wall, as we didn't see Rask Olsen. He literally launched off that, hit the barrier, and then went head on into, or would have gone head on into the wall if he hadn't gone back to the pits. So obviously Roger Christensen getting very lucky there, and probably having a little bit of a breather going into the pit lane is Roger there in P8 to do his pit stop and repair any damage that he might have caused to his car on that. But as we see there, he didn't have any pressure of any cars around him, but it's so easy to do. And as we can see on screen now, the light is fast fading around here at Bathurst, so it will be certainly interesting for the second half of this race if these drivers can overcome the battle of not only the Bathurst track, but doing it at night.
Yeah, it's so hard to pick out your apexes in the dark around Bathurst with no lights. But what we haven't noticed is Thibaut Prevost has pitted. The race leader has pitted and come out 11 seconds behind Lucas Lang, so he's got no traffic to worry about because Christensen pitted as well to fix that damage that he had got. So that is an early pit stop for Prevost compared to Havertz, which we've seen before. Kieran likes to go then 1 or 2 laps longer on the pit strategy. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But Prevost with a perfect pit stop of 18 seconds compared with Marcus Bloom, the next quickest at 18.6. We can ignore Anders Lear-Jordet. That was a fast repair, so 1.1 seconds. He hasn't got a Formula 1 Red Bull pit crew there waiting for him. That is, I don't think even Red Bull could do GT3 tyres that quickly. But we'll just see if anybody else heads to pit lane. I think Lucas Lang will. Yes, that was a late choice by the Porsche driver, just waiting to see what anybody else did. And it's a tricky pit lane. It's sort of an S-bend chicane through the pit lane, but he manages to get through quickly and slow it down in time for the limiter line. And there is Thomas Wangan, who is just trying to get back onto the back of Mount Powlich, who is now trying to pass Thomas Culliver for 3rd place in the race.
Yeah, great run there by Marco Powlich there in 4th place, getting it alongside, but obviously we've seen this before coming into Griffin's Bend. Not the ideal being on the outside, but tries to get on the cutback, so we'll be 2x2 wide going into the cut-in, which is not really advisable, and just slightly backs out to live for another day of battling with Thomas, but certainly showing he's got a lot of pace over Thomas, the Frenchman there in 3rd place, does the German in 4th, so it's certainly going to be game on coming down the Conrad straight for the next time, as long as he can keep it nice and tight to him. Getting a little bit loose there was Michael Powlich, and giving Culver a little bit of an opportunity to get a slight advantage gap coming down the back end of the mountain. Needs to try and close that up down this section to get that really good run down the Conrad straight. So we'll stay on board with Marco and see if he can try and get that done down the Conrad. I think he might be a little bit too far back this time round, but certainly will be closing up for every metre over Thomas Culver to try and get him done. So yeah, let's have a look. It's watch him come down the Conrad straight, just slowly, as you can see, creeping up onto the back of the Lamborghini in front. No car advantage between these two, both driving the Lamborghini, coming down into the chase here. And as you can see, the power of that slipstream with these two Lamborghinis is Michael Powlich, who was probably around about a second off coming after the start of Conrad straight, is now within 0.2 of a second behind Thomas Culver as he ducks into the pits. And great, we'll be able to see that, like you were saying, Dave, this pit entry absolutely treacherous, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see a car spin it trying to come into the pit lane.
Yeah, Powlich, Miravang and Wangan all in the pits this time by Culliver keeps going. I would have said, like Havertz, he likes a longer strategy, but we haven't really seen him that often get this far into the race. So it is better that, you know, we now know what he likes in terms of strategy. But you can see Kieran Havertz here coming over the cut-in. He's now catching, I think it's Fernando Torres as traffic. That could be important to him because he is trying to pull out a gap to Prevost, who is still only 33 seconds behind. That was about what he was when he come out of pits, maybe give or take half a second. Torres, brilliant back marker driving there to just let Havertz go before the cut-in. And I didn't actually notice the nice little highlighted strips on the top of Havertz's car, which is making it a lot easier to see him coming through the hills. And let's see if he will pit this time at the end of the Conrad straight. Anders Leardrodek comes in for his actual pit stop now, so he is dropping down the order. That will probably put him behind Fernando Torres, possibly, depending how close the battle will be for 11th place. But currently, Kieran Havertz is the man on a mission trying to get that gap out to a bit more. I think he was about 2 seconds behind Prevost before the pit stop. So if he can make a good stop, which we've seen him do before, as he does come into the pit lane, let's hope we stay on board with him here. This will be him coming through the pit lane. Look how tight that is, and perfect, absolutely perfect there by Kieran Havertz. He's practiced that. That's something I've definitely got to practice for the weekend.
Yeah, I think on one thing I am disappointed we haven't got any Fords in here, because if I'm not sure if the GT3 car is like the GTE car, but that is a fantastic car at the night time with the side skirt lights on that car. So you know, pity we can't see them, because obviously making our job a little bit harder, obviously being at night, recognizing who the cars are, because we're literally just looking at a set of headlights. But as we see Theobald Prevost here coming around the last corner, I think that was Murray's corner to go over the start finish, so we'll take over the lead again of this race. But as we can see, Kieran Havertz is on the exit, so they're going to be a lot closer than what they were at the start. And Kieran's just alongside, side by side, coming out of the pit lane. So Prevost has lost all his advantage that he had over Kieran Havertz, and race on here for the second half of this race. Literally, Kieran is right behind Prevost in the BMW in front, so lost a lot of time there, did Prevost.
Yeah, possibly a very quick pit stop by Kieran, because, yeah, 2 seconds quicker almost in the pit stop phase, which is to do with the pit lane entry to exit. So there's obviously a few laps of fuel saved, but I noticed into that corner straight after a pit stop, he's already clutching down to sort of coast into the corner. Now, whether that's his driving style or whether he's short-fueled a little bit and knows he can save a bit of fuel behind Prevost, but has closed that 2 seconds gap to stick with him.
Well, I mean, if you look at it, Prevost pitted on lap 15, took 18 seconds worth of fuel. Havard's pitted on lap 18 and took 17 seconds worth of fuel. So, 3 laps later, only a second difference in the fuel. Kieran should have enough fuel to finish his race. I just think it's maybe his driving style, because we've seen how excellent he is on the fuel saving, managing to go 2-3 laps longer than Prevost in first place. And we've seen it round after round that, Kieran has excellent management when it comes to fuel saving and is able to pull out 1 or 2 laps more of the rest of the field when it comes to the pit stop strategy. And certainly here it's paid off for him. Obviously a lot quicker on the pit stop. And as we saw as he went into the pits, he was lightning fast going into that pit lane. So probably would have made up a bit of time there as well. And that all comes together where we see him out on track now, literally tucked up behind the rear wing of the massive BMW in front of him. We haven't got one of them. I must be reminiscing about not having a Mercedes as well. But yeah, up on the back as we watch him come round for another lap down the mountain straight, and Kieran is getting ever closer to Prevost, and these two are battling out tooth and nail for the championship at the moment, and it's great to see these two at the front of the field still battling it out. So who will prevail over this race between these two? But again, these two are the only two that have won a round in this GT Trophy Season 2 championship so far. So they're keeping the tradition going, and the win looks at this moment in time coming from one of these two drivers.
Yeah, there's 20 minutes to go, and these two will not be separated. But what Kieran Havertz will be trying to do is distract Prevost across the top of this mountain, make him make a mistake, maybe damage a wheel or something, just to give himself that clear opportunity of passing. But Havertz is the one on the gravel on the exit, so he's pushing really hard now down the hill, and it's going to be a 20-minute flat-out sprint between these drivers, 24 seconds ahead of anybody else. They have been a class above anybody else at Bathurst here tonight. Miravang up into third after a mistake by Roger Christensen. We now look at a replay. This is Marcus Bloom, who comes off the cut-in. And does he hit the wall? Yes, he does. You don't really have a choice there. But he caught it quite square on with the rear of the car, so hopefully not too much damage done. And Jeremy Bonsuado makes his way past and into 9th place, but Marcus Bloom still going at this moment in time. And now we have a replay of Jeremy heading down the Conrad Straight.
Yeah,
and he
definitely
just goes straight on.
Ooh.
What's happened there with Bonsuado?
He's trying to jump. Is he trying to jump?
Was he trying to jump? No. That was very straight and very strange. I'm not quite sure what happened there for him, but he does continue on as well. So that is a strange one indeed.
It might be that it depends, and it's a real fine art to driving these cars at night, and if you miss your braking marker, certainly where he was going down towards the chase, an extremely fast straight, and you lose that braking marker in the dark, because obviously your spatial awareness is very limited depending on the lights spread in front of you and what car you're driving. So it's certainly going to be interesting. But quick shout out to a couple of our sponsors here for this season. Virtual Racing School, improve your on-track performance with 50+ data packs of road and oval racing, setups, track guides, data analysis, one-on-one coaching. Head over to virtualracingschool.com to see the excellent packages they have. And one that goes very nicely with Virtual Racing School is the Apex Racing Academy. They also have 29 data packs, setups, track guides. It's fully integrated with the VRS system, so it'll do it all for you. Put the new setups in for the car, whatever track you're doing, and also do weekly group coaching sessions, plus many more. Head over to apexracingac.com for the different packages that you can get off them. And as we join back to the entertainment that is Bathurst, and the battle here for 5th place. You got Thomas Wangen in 5th, Michael Palic in 6th, and Lucas Lang in 7th. These 3 cars still battling out heavily for that 5th place at the moment. But we also got Thomas Culver there, not to mention, in 4th place. So it's a battle on for 4th at the moment between these 4 cars.
Yeah. We said Bathurst was difficult to overtake around, but Thomas Wangen has proved us wrong here tonight, up 5 places from 10th on the grid. And remember, we had quite a bit of a small field. He's now going for 4th. What a slipstream he got there, right round the outside, into the chase, and up into 4th place. Thomas Wangen is on fighting form. He's had really quick pace recently. Oh, that's one. That was kind of a round into the side of Pawlic. I think he just ran wide onto the grass. Yeah, he gets passed by Thomas Wangen, slightly distracted in the braking area, so he goes out wide, hits the grass, swings across, takes a hapless Pawlic out as well, and Lucas Lang says, "Thank you very much, I'll have 2 positions."
Yeah, definitely an unfortunate there, and Pawlic being an innocent bystander in that. And I think he's actually taken. Oh, as you see, is that a replay again? And Marcus Bloom again doing a spin round. But that is the worst part of the track to be stranded, literally just after the top of the hill, and it'd be. Marcus will have to find, he does the right thing there and goes back to the pits, because that was a treacherous position. Cars coming over the top, as we saw earlier on in the qualifying. Prevot had come around there, hit one of the cars, and literally done a 10.10 and gymnastic world of a spin coming out the top of that. So great move there and move back. But there was the incident coming up at the top of the mountain again, getting it slightly wrong. So these dark lights around here and the nighttime session really catching quite a few of the drivers out. So it's going to be a war of attrition to try to get to the end of this race, still keeping the points in position.
Yeah, I think Marcus may have thought about reversing into the clear space at the top of the dipper, but I think he may have broke the steering when he hit the wall the first time round, so that may be why he towed. But it's just a sensible choice to get it out the track and out the way. But a terrible race here for Corsim Racing 2. Corsim Racing 1 have Mount Pawlic, who was just sort of sideswiped by Mount Pawlic a lap before, so poor couple of laps. Lucas Lang, who hasn't had the best of races here tonight, still sitting in 5th place. We've seen him fighting with Culver throughout the race for 5th, 6th, 7th, and he's coming out on top of this at the moment.
He certainly is, but it's treacherous conditions. You can just literally see pitch black and just whatever you can in the lights. I mean, obviously it does, these iRacing lights do shine a lot, so you can sort of see here that you would normally see your braking marker well in advance, and literally it'll just creep up on you. So your levels of concentration go up tenfold when you start racing at night, and that's where you start seeing the silly little mistakes creeping in, because that momentary loss of concentration, you slightly miss your braking point, you go deep into a corner, and if you do that over the top of the mountain like you saw Marcus Boone do twice, you know, easily to hit the wall, spin around, and that's your race over. So, you know, for this last 14 minutes we got left of this race, is going to be maximum concentration for these drivers to try and get out. But as we can see here, Thomas Culver is just going off the back of Marco Pawlic, 2 seconds back at the moment. So really struggling in these low light conditions is Thomas Culver in 7th place.
Yeah, I think he will have a bit of front end damage as well from hitting the side of Pawlic. So while Pawlic will have side damage, the front end damage of Culver will be far worse in terms of hampering his performance. And I think he almost clipped the wall there as well. Manova Hill, so close to it there as well. So Frenchman really pushing to try and catch the 2 Germans in front. The closest battle is still our 2 leaders. 0.3 of a second between Prevot and Havertz, and this fight is well and truly on. I don't think Havertz has tried a move just yet, but I think he's going to be careful because of what happened in Spa. He does not want to repeat that and to get a kind of reputation for it. It wasn't his, you know, it wasn't a malicious move, but it was a mistake by him. So he doesn't want to get that sort of that reputation of, I'm going to stick a nose in and you're going to have, you know, a Max Verstappen type of reputation. He wants to get you know, he wants it to be clean and concise. And also, near the end of the race, he doesn't want Prevost coming back at him, because we know that BMW have some grunt down the Conrad Straight.
Yeah, it definitely has. But we have seen in the past that the BMW does use a lot more of its tyres than the Lamborghini. So maybe Kieran finding that he's getting a little bit more grip and just biding his time. But exactly like you said, Dave, doesn't really want to be getting too close to the back of Prevost's BMW and having a slight incident like we saw in Spa. You know, it was an end to what was a really thrilling race between these two drivers, and we really want to be seeing them out on track battling it out to see who comes out on top, and not see it by a slight little mistake between one of the two drivers that takes one of them out. We want to be seeing them like we are on screen at the moment, just fighting it out to see who is the top driver at the different rounds that we go through. But Kieran just losing a little bit of gap there, and now we've got the added bonus of having some back markers in front, who is Fernando Torres, but we saw him earlier on getting well out of the way of Kieran Havas, so we'll probably come through the cut-in and then move over to let the front two drivers come through. But certainly will put cat amongst the pigeons for Thomas Prevost, seeing another car in front as we see him slow down there for the front two driver. Great driving, great etiquette there from Fernando Torres to let the front two, not battling with anyone, doesn't need to hinder these two cars in front who are battling for the race win, and just letting them pass. And that's what we sort of come to see of Fernando Torres within this championship. He's not the fastest driver, but you don't need to be the fastest driver to enjoy these leagues, and he's one person we can depend on seeing race after race, not doing the best, getting, you know, the lower end of the field, but always consistently here and always consistently finishing the race. So a big shout out there again to Fernando Torres for another great display and good sportsmanship there.
Yeah, he's always just consistently keeping going. His speed is improving, but this circuit has been tough for him. In terms of the lap times, he did drop off the pack quite quickly at the start, but that is just him just looking at the race and going, I need to finish. And he's now ahead of Marcus Bloom. Raskolson hasn't finished, Brian Kroon hasn't finished, so it still scores him the points, and he will be creeping up on that top 10 in the championship where all the prizes are given. So no, he will still be creeping up on that, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him creep into that top 10 in the championship by the end of the season.
No, definitely not. And a shout out to our last sponsor for this series, SDK Gaming. You can see the wonderful overlays we use here on Apex Racing TV. We solely use SDK Gaming for all our overlays that give a virtual hub to iRacing, showing timing towers, enhanced relative boxes, mini maps, fuel calculators, and many more. Stream to Twitch with the most comprehensive overlay on iRacing. Broadcast your leagues and series. SDK Gaming syncs your commentator team cameras, focus drives, and overlay with your broadcaster. Adjust your team strategy on the fly with the most accurate live timing on iRacing. Head over to sdk-gaming.co.uk and try a 14-day free trial to see if you like it. And I'm pretty sure at the end of it, you will. We absolutely love it here on Apex Racing TV, and makes our commentary lives so much easier, where we're all seeing the same display between the three of us here, two in the commentary, and our wonderful Lewis, who gives the camera shots based on what we're commentating on at the time. So head over to sdkgaming.co.uk for more as we rejoin the battle here. Kieran just getting a slight bit of 0.6 of a second now behind Prevost in first place, but still well within the coattails of the first place BMW driver there from Valkyrie competition in the first place. But yeah, it's great, like you said before, Kieran Havas is obviously a privateer, got no big team behind him. Valkyrie competition, an extremely big team, well versed in racing and well established. And you got Kieran there, who's putting a lot of pressure on him. Very much a privateer, and I'm pretty sure that if we see him again on an ARL league, he will have a decent team behind him, because he has just done an exceptional job in this championship and putting loads of pressure over Teobald Provo in first place at the moment. So making it really entertaining coming in to the last couple of rounds of this championship. Only 3 more rounds to go after this until we find out who the championship's going to be. And at the moment, it certainly seems like it's going to be one of these two, Dave.
Yeah, Thomas Culliver is out of this race according to our timing screen, so we'll see what happened there.
Ooh.
But yeah, I seem to remember Kieran, when he was interviewed last time, did say, yes, while he's a privateer, he is having help with setups from an esports team. So he has got connections, they just haven't basically signed him up yet. I think it's the general deal of it. Again, it's, you know, if you're not embedded into a squad, can take a year of racing or a season of racing to get into the squad, the way they work and everything like that. So Kieran isn't in the squad as such. He is still a privateer, so he hasn't even had that year of bedding in yet. So once he gets bedded into a team, he will be pretty well. He'll be exceptional, even though he already is. And Thibaut Prévost, again, while he's with Valkyrie, who are a very strong squad. I saw him in a VRS Endurance the other day, doing very well without Thibaut. Thibaut is just showing that he is doing such a good job as well in that BMW, which isn't the favoured car this season.
Certainly not, but I really want to find out what happened to Thomas Culliver. So I don't know if you have a replay, Lewis, or we can see where he is on track, because at the moment we can see in the timing tower that he is currently showing us out and is going down the back of the field. So I'd expect his car to be sat in the pit lane. It'd be interesting. I'm looking at the sort of timing tower, and I'm not seeing any significant incidents involving Thomas Culliver. So I'm just hoping that he hasn't had another hardware issue that's put paid to his races here tonight. If that is just terrible luck there for Thomas, who's we can see in the timing tower currently in P11th and just going down the field. So is he in the is he in there, or is he just retired? You can't find anything. It's a very strange one. Maybe he'll let us know on the YouTube chat if he comes on as to what happened, but very strange one. But what that does do is it promotes Fernando Torres up into the top 10. I think this is his first top 10 finish if he carries on the way he's going. That he's done, so congratulations to him. And it always reminds me of the tortoise in the hare with Fernando. I'm not saying that he's super slow, but obviously you've got to be in it to win it at the end of the day, and he certainly is by the end of most of the races. But we rejoined this race at the front of the grid. 4 minutes left of this race, so probably another 2 laps, and this one's going to go down to the wire, Dave.
Yeah, it is going to go down to a wire. In terms of drivers just hanging on to the end, as we got a replay here, this is Fernando Torres. Please don't be an incident for Fernando. He's done such a good job here today. And we don't want the commentator's curse. He is off track at the chase. There is a wall at the end of there. Oh, he's missed it. He's done exactly what
he didn't miss it.
He has hit the wall this time. Has hit a wall, but hasn't got much damage because Marcus Bloom is behind him on track, about half a lap behind, I believe. So we'll just see. It's as I say, in the dark, it must be so easy to do. But when you were on about tortoise and the hare, all I could think about was the Grand Prix, European Grand Prix of '99, when you had like Luca Badura in a Minardi sitting in 4th place before he retired, and it was just about keeping it on the track. And that's what these guys were doing. I was about to say Fernando was doing, but you know, he beat me to the curse this time, which is unusual. But he's still well ahead of Marcus Bloom. Let's say about half a lap ahead. So hopefully for Fernando, there isn't much damage to the car. Another guy who has moved up as well, Anders Lear Jordet, has moved up into 8th place with Culliver's mysterious. I mean, it's not Halloween, is it? So he's not just disappeared into a ghost. But yeah, Anders Lear Jordet looking at the top 8. Jeremy Bonsuardo sneaking into the top 9 again. And Roger Christensen, after that huge spin and issue at the top of the mountain, he is still in 7th place and still 15 seconds behind Mount Powlett. So he has struggled to regain any pace he had earlier in the race.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously having a scale like that over the mountain will put paid to probably a lot of your pace, because you think, well, I just need to finish this race in a good position and consolidate where I'm at, rather than to try and push on, because once you've done it once, you certainly don't want to do it again going over the top of the mountain. But, you know, Prevot here out at the front is 0.9 of a second, so just slightly edging away at the moment from Kieran Havas in the Lamborghini in 2nd place. So Kieran may be thinking, well, do you know what, I'll take the 2nd place at the moment. It's a hard race, and there's no point taking us both out and just taking that. But he will be fighting all the way to the line, but at the moment it does seem that Prevot in 1st place does have the slight edge over these two for this round. But see there, slightly coming down, Havas 0.6 of a second, and obviously with that long Conrod straight, it will bring that gap ever so slightly closer as well. So it must be around the first part of the track that BMW is really powering away from the Lamborghini.
Yeah, the BMW just stretching its legs around that first part, and then as it comes over the mountain, just cementing that pace until he gets down the other side. And it's 0.6 of a second back to Havertz at the moment. And Prevot just seems to be holding him at arm's length. It's not as pressured as it was at Spa, and even though Havertz is closing in the slipstream here, it's still staying about half a second. So Prevot seems quite calm about it right now, but it will be. Is it the last lap this time?
Might well be. Yeah, it might well be this the last lap of the race. Yes, it is.
So Thibaut Prevot fights back in the championship around the Bathurst circuit, holds off Kieran Havertz. These two have been in the class of the field, but the BMW driver will take the victory for Valkyrie competition ahead of the fastest lap on the final lap for Kieran Havertz, 2 minutes 2.6. That's a rocket of a lap in race conditions, but we'll have to wait another 35 seconds for Odin Miravang. These two have been, I mean, they're lining up side by side now. Stop it, boys, stop it.
It just shows it up, isn't it? I mean, we haven't really talked about Miravang either. I mean, 3rd place for Miravang, great, but 30 seconds behind these two. I mean, wow.
Yeah, but that is a good result for Miravang. After 2nd at the start of the season, he went off the boil a little bit, but has kept it on the circuit, brought it home, and then next up, 10 seconds further back, will be Thomas Wangen from 10th on the grid to 4th. He will be well happy with that, and the RPC Esports guys will be happy too. Lucas Lang somehow finishes 5th after seeming to be passed and repassed every 2 seconds. Marek Paulich comes home 6th with the damage to the side of his car after that incident with Jeremy Bonds. No, it's Thomas Culliver, sorry.
Culliver,
Here comes Roger Christensen, who could have been on the podium if it wasn't for that spin up the mountain. But he will come home in 7th place, which is still strong points for him in the championship. Anders Lear Jordet will be next up in the Porsche from Jeremy Bonsuado. And Fernando Torres gets his first ever top 10 position in the GT3 Pro Trophy. Congratulations to, I think he's Puerto Rican. I think so. Congratulations to Fernando Torres. I think it's been coming for the last 2 rounds, but it's finally there. And Marcus Bloom comes home in 11th to score points for himself. For three retirees, Thomas Culliver disappearing into space. Rask Olsen having that huge accident on the top of a mountain, and Brian Kroon retiring early on.
Yeah, definitely. I think we need to be watching Sheldon's War with Flags on YouTube. I think that's what we need, just to get our flags up to date on there. But here are our race results. Just gone. Thibaut Prevot taking 1st place, so cementing his lead at the top of the championship and pulling out a further gap over Kieran Havas, who managed to get P2 in that race. Odin Miravang, great recovery drive from him, getting into the top 3. And it looks like we've got a replay there. Lewis falling asleep there in the night time over here, and managing to change it today. So there we go. Thomas Wangen getting in the 4th place. Lucas Lang in 5th, Michael Palic in 6th, Roger Christian in 6th, Anders Lily Jordet in 8th place, Jeremy Banswado in 9th, and Fernando Torres round out your top 10. Marcus Bloon in 11th, and the non-finishers, Thomas Kova there in 12th, Oskin Rashoskin in 13th, and Brian Kroon in 14th. So even though we've only had 14 car, Dave, it's been a really entertaining race around a really entertaining track.
Yeah, exactly. It's been a great race, and the top 2 in the championship still fighting it out for this title. It was Prevost who's going to extend his 7-point lead at the top of the table. I can confirm he is Puerto Rican, Fernando Torres. That is Puerto Rican flag, so I know my flags, and I'm quite happy with that one.
There you go. I don't.
Yeah, well, it's the only flag I was questioning, shall we say?
Was it?
So, yeah, it is Prevost, Havertz, Miravang on the podium. It's the first time I think those 3 have been on the podium together this season, and we will be looking to see who might join us in the interview room. But what a race we have had!
Yeah, we've been spoilt today in the interview room because we have the top 3 drivers in this race who have waited to join us. And without further ado, let's get into them and welcome Theobald Prevost into the commentary booth. Prevost, what a race from yourself! Obviously, getting a really good start at the front of the race, trying to keep it out there. How was that race for you, and how was it starting off in the daylight and then ending it at night?
Yeah, hi. Hello, everyone. To start off, I made a huge mistake before the race. I forgot to turn up my brightness. So that's why I pitted early, because I didn't want to see nothing entering the pit lane. And yeah, I made that mistake. Then at the beginning, I got very lucky because Karim with cold tires could not follow. So yeah, otherwise it would have been much harder to keep the lead.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, that's probably one of the things that you do need, and any iRacer will know that certainly if you're going to go into your night race, you make sure you turn that brightness up so you can see a little bit more. So, obviously, lucky it didn't affect your race, and it was a really good end to the race. Obviously, we saw in Spa the slight incident that yourself and Kiram had in Spa, but it's really good to see that tonight it was all left out on track, and fortunate and lucky for you, you came out on top, which will extend your lead in the championship. So you must have been having that slightly in the back of the mind, the Spa race, and the fact that you needed to try to extend your lead.
Yeah, that was definitely the last race where I was, where I had the most chance to win. The 3 next rounds are gonna be much harder for me with the BMW. This one was definitely the best one with my car. I don't even know how Karim made it finish just behind me with the Lambo. Honestly, he did insane job. So yeah, next rounds are gonna be so hard.
So, I mean, obviously, talking about the next round, we got Watkin Glen next up, which should be quite good for the BMW. That's always been a good car with the long straights, with the boot section in Watkin Glen. Sebring, another quite large track that the BMW shouldn't be too bad at. And then you got the tight track of the Imola circuit to finish the season out. But is that those sort of tracks not the ones that you're very good at, or your least favourite in this championship?
No, definitely not. But Watkins Glen, I don't know it too much, so I need to practice a lot. Then Sebring, we practiced a lot for SEO, and we know BMW is way slower than Lamborghini. So, or maybe it's just us, we don't know. And yeah, last one, Imola. Imola, I don't know. With the new rough tracks as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's
Going
to be an interesting run into the last 3 rounds of this championship, and it very much seems that yourself and Kiram are locked in this battle for the top of the grid. You take the spoils tonight. Obviously, you were 7 points ahead, courtesy of a penalty that Kiram did get in the last round. But it's getting ever closer, and it's ebbing and flowing in the top of the championship. And it's great to see, and obviously great for our viewers on track. Are you really feeling the pressure now of expectations of coming out on top on this championship?
Not really, actually. I mean, it was the goal since the beginning, so it hasn't changed since the start.
There
actually.
you go. His ice cold Theobald Prevost there with his words of wisdom, and that's how you become a championship in this round. Before we let you go, Theobald, is there anybody you like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, whole Valkyrie team, and to you guys. First time I shout out to you guys, but thanks for commentating every Tuesday night. That's great. And to Apex, of course, organizing this championship.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you very much for joining us, and congratulations there on your race win. So there was Theobald Prevost winning again here at Bathurst. And I think we have Kieran Havast joining us into the commentary box. So over to you, Dave.
Yeah, Kieran, so close but so far. You seem to struggle in the opening stages of the race. Was that just down to the cold tyres?
Oh yeah, on the first lap it was definitely cold tires because it's more special with this car as well. It's much more loose than the others, and on the mountain it's even more tough. So I just try to go easy on the car and survive the first lap, and yeah, try to catch up on the other laps.
Yeah, you don't want to lose car over top of a mountain. I think we can all agree on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously the gap stayed the same, and then you had quite a short pit stop compared to Prevost in front, and you came out side by side. Did you think you had to make the move at that stage, or were you sitting in behind thinking I can get him at some point?
Yeah, I definitely had to go for a move there, but the gap wasn't enough for the turn two because I knew I was going to struggle behind him, and this BMW has insane acceleration here. I don't know why. So even when I was like 2 tenths behind him on the straight, I couldn't catch up. So I tried to go for a move there, but I wasn't too close.
Yeah, so second place, still a good result for you in terms of a championship. Fearbad has just spoken to us and said how he fears the next few tracks because of how strong the Lamborghini could be compared to the BMW. What are your thoughts on the tracks coming up?
Yeah, definitely for the Watkins and especially the Sebring, the Lambo gonna be so strong against BMW, I think. So I tried to get the advantage of it, like Thibaut got the advantage of BMW today. So we'll see on the next rounds.
Yeah, you both seem really equal on pace. So, congratulations on your second place. And we're really looking forward as commentators and viewers to see how this championship ends up between the two of you. Is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to before you go?
Yeah, actually, my team again. It's called PGZ Motorsports. I'm there as not as a driver, but I'm a designer of there, and but I sometimes got their setups for the Lambo. So yeah, I really thank them for the setup. It worked quite great here, and yeah, we have definitely the same pace with Prevo. So I can't wait for the next 3 rounds.
Hey, congratulations, Kieran, and thanks for the action that we get to commentate on. So that was Kim Havertz, who finished second here today. And we have one more driver in the waiting room, and that is Odin Miravang. And I'll hand him over to Andy.
Odin, welcome to the commentary booth. A great third place there. Pretty much a lonely race for you in that third place with the front two just getting away from you. But how was that race for you overall?
It was fine. It was a bit. It's wrong to say boring, but in ways it was. It's like that for me. I normally get stuck behind someone super fast and then just go away, and I'll just stay in my own no man's land.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, you had that second place in the first race, and then you sort of went off the boil a little bit, got caught up with a few incidents, were put paid to a few of the rounds later. But, great to see you again at the top half of the field and getting that third place. But what are your expectations now for the rest of the season, considering sort of saw some of the poor luck that you have had in this season?
I don't know, man. I'm just gonna try my best and see what happens. It's hopefully there's some tracks I like better than the ones we have already had. It's like I felt every track got worse in how much I liked them, So I'm just crossing my fingers for it to be better from now on.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you certainly got the pace there to be at the front, as was seen tonight, on an extremely hard track. Obviously, we've got three more tracks coming up. We got Watkin Glen next time out. Then we got Sebring and finishing off with Imola. How are you fancying them 3 tracks coming up?
Sebring and Imola I like. Watkins Glen is I like it too, but normally I get caught up in some accident that somebody else have. So I'm just gonna see how it goes and try to keep clear of people.
Yeah. One of the things probably our viewers want to go and I want to know is obviously we started off the race here tonight in the daylight, which is treacherous enough going over that mountain section. Then obviously halfway through the night, the darkness set in. How do you transition from driving into the daytime and then going into the night and still managing to try and keep the pace? What things are you looking at, and how do you know where your braking markers are at night?
I'm not the right man to ask that, man. I'm just driving and I'm looking for something to recognize. And when I see walls come at me, I start braking. It's I can't see anything. I think I'm just as much blind on daytime as I am on nighttime. So it just blends into one. But
So what you're telling us is you use the force. Is that how you do it?
I think so, man. I just close my eyes and listen my way around the track.
There you go. You hit it first here on Apex Racing TV. Odin Miravang uses the force in his own racing skill, but I mean, it worked for you, mate, because obviously you managed to keep your nose clean in that race. Got out to the front, top of the pile over Kiram. And Prevat, who like a class of their own here tonight. So a great result for you, mate, and some good points for the championship. Before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
It's the normal lineup. It's my wife and my team. It's just incredible team to work with, and they keep pushing you. And we just have a lot of fun together.
That's always a good thing, and thank you for joining us here. And we look forward to seeing you at the next round out in a week's time. So thank you, Odin.
Thank you, man.
And good luck, mate. So there was Odin finishing in 3rd place. So we were been treated today having the top 3 in the interview room. And Dave, it's been a quality race.
Yeah, we had a small field, but it's been an absolute high quality race. Bathurst, not the easiest circuit to get around, but we saw cars close together, but not causing contact with each other and race retirements. And this championship fight is going to go all the way to the end, as both drivers feel the next 2 circuits might just suit the Lamborghini.
Yeah, definitely. And unfortunately, that brings us to the end of this broadcast here tonight. But before we go, just like to give a shout out to all the viewers on YouTube. Please just give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this session tonight in the GT Trophy. Also, think about subscribing and clicking that bell, because we do have racing pretty much every single night here on Apex Racing TV, covering a vast array of cars. So tomorrow night we have the Porsche Cup coming into the latter stages of that championship. On Thursday we got the TC cars. On Friday it's actually our night off for a change, so nothing going on at the moment on ARL on a Friday. On Saturday we got the F3s going on, and then we also have a lot of external to ARL leagues going on through the week, and then we go back to the wonderful Mazda series on the Monday night, which is always entertaining in them fast little nippy cars. Also, please follow us on our social media on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter using looking for Apex Racing TV to get all the latest news of the series and the events that are coming up. So from myself, Andrew Thompson, and from David Whitehouse, from Lewis Arara in the production box, we bid you farewell here from Bathurst and look forward to seeing you next time out on Watkin Glens for the last 3 rounds of the Apex GT Trophy Pro Season 2. Good night.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers, including Peter Berryman, John Robertson, Brandon Trano, and IndyCar World Champion Alex Palou. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.